Hey guys, what is up? It's Rob here, and I'm coming at you with the Monday nightly watch list. So I'm going to be talking about some things that happened on Friday, but also some news that came down on the weekend and on the intraday market on Monday. So first things first, let's get into the heavy hitter. Happened on Friday, okay. Trump said that he was going to put a 100% tariff on China imports starting November 1st, okay? Because, they started to limit and impose some sort of ban on critical minerals and rare earth resources. So that was his response to, China's actions on critical minerals. So 100% tariff, going to start November 1st on, China if it doesn't get resolved, because President Trump and President Xi are supposed to meet, before November 1st. So a deal could actually be made beforehand. So on Friday, we got that headline, and it caused a huge move down in the market. Because the market has been getting a little overextended, frothy, whatever you want to call it. So, since a lot of people were leveraged, overexposed, they started to take massive, profits, while at the same time, short sellers came into the market with that headline, and you got a big move down. And, I actually was in the last video talking about how it presented a opportunity in the options market on the SPY ETF to turn $50 into $1,500 by buying puts, because we got the news headline within the first minute. We got the news. We saw the red candle on the SPY, and then we got the news instantly, boom, went into the options market and then had a crazy trade. So, I wanted to start with that because obviously that's the big thing everybody's talking about, the 100% tariff on China. And coming into Monday, everyone was a little freaked out about it. On Friday, like, oh my God, the market's going to keep selling off. Well, over the weekend, Trump and, his team, Vance and everyone, they calmed the market. They cooled everything down because Trump actually came out and said, hey, I don't want this to happen. I don't want, us to have to impose this on China. So he said, there's actually a chance where maybe this doesn't happen. So the market obviously, was like, okay, well, that's a good thing. So the market's actually green today because of that, because Trump, cooled down, the fear, the risk of that actually getting, into effect on November 1st. So I want to talk about that, Obviously big news that happened on Friday. The next thing I have for you here is earnings. So this week is a huge week for financials, Banks this week. So you're going to see a lot of earnings report coming out for them. And then also Tuesday before the bell, we're going to have Domino's Pizza, which is definitely going to be, something interesting, an earnings report that I want to pay attention to. Big company. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is actually invested in this, and I think, could have a big move, So definitely, a non-financial name to pay attention to there. But the week is definitely, filled with financial earnings reports. I'm going to put on the screen here for you the earnings whisper calendar, so you can kind of see some of the names that are coming up. So definitely pay attention to that. And then I also have for you here, let's see. Oh, yeah. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was Trump RX. Because, last week or a week ago, Trump and Pfizer came out with a deal, So Pfizer wouldn't be, imposed with a bunch of tariffs. And Trump mentioned that he's going to be able to sell, pharmaceutical drugs direct to consumer based on this platform called Trump RX. But we haven't really gotten news yet on, who's going to run that platform, And how is that going to be set up? So there's been a lot of rumors going around about this company called GoodRx, ticker symbol GDRX. that, maybe they could be involved in this using their platform or, the software or any form, of them being involved. So I definitely want everyone to keep an eye out on this name, and it's definitely, a potential, opportunity if you want to try to front run that news to get in on that ticker. I mean, the headline has definitely been circulated around a couple times, and it has been getting pops and sold off. So it hasn't really sustained any big move up, right? There has been a lot of profit taken there, but something definitely to pay attention to, right? This, Trump pharma tariff, progression. And then the next thing I have for you that came out today was of course, you could have guessed it, AI news, right? So Broadcom had a deal with OpenAI for chips. So Broadcom was up around 12% pre-market based on chip deal with OpenAI. So, right, it's interesting because, you've been seeing this quantum AI bubble, right? And then all the energy plays around AI going crazy. And, right, we had that big move down on Friday and a relief rally today because, Trump helped calm the fear with that China headline. So once again, this could be the start again of seeing the crazy run-ups based on AI news. So definitely, keep in mind, right, all these, bubble names, right? They're actually holding up considerably well. I mean, considering the news that came out on Friday. So that was a headline I wanted to share with everyone. And then also PZZA, PZZA, Papa John's Pizza. Now, that stock has been getting moved around a lot lately because of buyout rumors. And today, there's a headline that came out that says Apollo submitted a $64 takeover bid for pizza. So it had a big move today. I can throw up a chart on the screen for you guys to see the price action. And the last I checked, it was actually selling off considerably, and it actually hit a high like $50, which was interesting because the buyout offer was for $64, so you would think that it would go closer to the price target. But once again, this wasn't confirmed news. It was just rumor. So, you need confirmation for some of these headlines. I mean, it wasn't an official statement or anything. So, it went up to around $50 and sold off. So, you can definitely see where that ends up by close today. Definitely something, to watch for. Potential move up all the way to 64, right? You could take advantage of the opportunity. Or, maybe we get some red candles back down if that deal doesn't close. So, pizza, right? PZZA. And then I wanted to have for you guys here, I'm always searching for long-term, investments to add to our long-term portfolio. And I've been telling everyone about, I really like Chipotle right now, and STZ, which is Constellation Brands, alcohol company that focuses kind of on Hispanic consumers because, their top products are Modelo and Corona. And UPS, right, another name that's at multi-year lows, right, to add to the long-term portfolio. It's a long-term portfolio candidate that I'm thinking about. But today, right, I'm not adding it to my heavy conviction list, but it's ticker symbol GT, which is Goodyear tires. So this stock is at multi-year lows, and I was last looking at it today. It was actually hitting a new low. So I'm doing a little bit more research into this name, seeing what's going on, and it's a possible candidate, right, to invest in. So I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar for long-term candidates right now. So looks like that is the news I have for you. And I did have a headline here, right? Trump on Friday, right, spoke about pharma news, 5 p.m. Oval Office event about lowering drug cost. So that's why I kind of mentioned to you guys all again, right? The Trump RX headline could definitely, present opportunities. So check out GDRX and definitely look into that, for potential opportunity to make some money. So, the market did soft a little bit, right? And today we're seeing, right, on that relief rally, you saw quantum names go absolutely crazy today, continuing the short squeeze. And like I've been warning everyone about those names, be really careful for dilution. and management issuing more shares and diluting common shareholders. So be very careful, right? Because that's a cash-intensive business where they're doing a lot of research, so they need cash on their balance sheet, right, to take advantage of those opportunities. So be very careful and watch out for, management issuing new shares, or at any second, right, the party to end, and you see a huge move down. So, guys, that's everything I have for you. And just know, right, you're going to see some volatility coming in with the China headline, right? Trump said, okay, 100% tariff on China because of what they've been doing with their rare earth, exports. But then at the same time, he came down and tried to downplay it by saying, hey, we don't want to do this. It's a possibility that it might not. But he did not pull it off the table. So this still could go into effect, which means that this relief rally you're seeing today could actually present, an opportunity to short the market because, if that does happen, well, things are only going to escalate from here and get worse. So keep that in mind, guys, right? Don't get, tossed around too much with the volatility in the market with these headlines and the bubble names. So stay locked in. Once again, always, get a long-term portfolio, right? Make sure you're looking out in the market for long-term names to potentially add. And while at the same time, right, following the news, making good trades, and staying locked into the game. All right, guys, that's what I got for you today. Peace.